Oh, you again. Fancy meeting you here. Welcome to Today's Decay, where we celebrate births and beginnings and everything important since the dawn of time. December 18th edition. All day. And today, whatever happened. And why do we do this? Because otherwise, every day is just another day. Make breakfast, go to work, come home, eat some more, watch some vapid television, and scroll through the internet. And that is just letting life pass you by. Because, you're just being force-fed all sorts of garbage, filling up your time. And that's not important. I don't think that's important. You can make your own decision. Today, in 1778, Joseph Grimaldi was born. Joe Grimaldi was the king of the clowns, the first modern day clown who evolved from a ragdoll type clown in circuses and theater performances into the white-faced more modern creation, I suppose. And specifically, what he did was really thumb his nose at the establishment, at authority, at the police. And really was like a superstar. And also, supposedly, the story of in the early 1800s, I guess some guy goes to a early psychiatrist or psychologist, whichever one is just a talking person, to say, "Oh, doc, I'm really depressed," and the doctor's like, "Don't worry, I've got a great idea. Something that will, cure all that ails you. You have to go see Joe Grimaldi, the clown, and he will raise your spirits." And the patient says, "But doc, I am Joe Grimaldi." Tough luck, pal. Tears the clown, huh? So we have, in my opinion, this is the very beginnings of what eventually becomes Charlie Chaplin, what eventually becomes Lon Chaney Sr., all in one Joe Grimaldi. The Maracaibo, Venezuela UFO incident occurred today in 1886. Totally fascinating. Apparently, lights were seen hovering over this Venezuelan home in particular, and afterwards, this family that all lived there all had symptoms that in a more modern era would absolutely be considered radiation poisoning. How did this happen in 1886? 2 years before the Jack the Ripper murders? Nobody knows. But any of these UFO incidents that occur before, like Roswell and pop culture 20th century stuff, very curious, because it's really before any sort of mass public awareness or whatever, publicity type situation that could sweep 1886 as well. This is before War of the Worlds was published, right? This 1890s, I want to say. Ooh, I could be wrong about that. Something in that ballpark though. But you have UFO incident reports that occur, I think in one of the Koreas, or just Korea at that point, in the 1600s. John Dee, Queen Elizabeth's advisor in the 1500s, might have seen something. It goes back further and further into time that the modern era and the whole idea of what this could be or couldn't be is it's very much two different languages. It's something okay, we take for granted that, is it drones? Is it not? What would these people have thought it was otherwise? And why would they even think it was that? Strange phenomena in the sky? Yes. Clearly visitors from another planet? What does that even mean? What does that even mean? Maybe we should ask Walt Doherty, who was born today in 1916, who was a very early fan, supporter, personality involved with sci-fi fandom in Los Angeles and West Coast sci-fi communities. A big friend and fan and supporter of one Forrest J. Ackerman, right here, if you can see Forrest J. Walt Doherty I don't think I ever had the pleasure of meeting. He might have passed away right around the time I was starting to hang out with Forey and crew. I don't remember exactly. I did pour over a ton of Forey Ackerman personal videotapes of like birthdays and gatherings and things, and Walt is all over them and is just so warm and friendly and fun and like a ball of energy that you're like captivated by every word he says. It's going to be something brilliant and biting and funny, and here for it. Walt Doherty. UFA Studios Incorporated began, I don't know, something like that. Started today, 1917. Totally wild. Weimar, Germany, post World War I. This is like a, den of the obscene, the absurd, the artistically insane. You've got Metropolis right here, directed by Fritz Lang, a UFA production. Nosferatu, a UFA production. Not all, but quite a lot of like the best German expressionist films, or silent era movies, are all UFA productions. I went there because UFA Studios is like a functioning TV studio, television production studio today, or was when I went, which was probably, it was when I was shooting my psychobilly documentary, the year 2002. We went all the way out there with Michelle, Slaybaugh, and Till, in the rain, the cold rain, and it was like there's nothing there that reminds you that like all these wonderful movies were filmed there. I want to say it's an hour or two outside of Berlin, if I remember correctly. They had like a Americanized movie theme park there with like RoboCop and alien related things, and like all this stuff was bombed in World War II, so like it's not like they have original props from UFA Studios proper, but I don't know, is it worth going to? Maybe they've made some improvements in the last several decades. Yeah. Martin Rev, one half a suicide. You can't do suicide alone. Alan Vega and Martin Rev were suicide, and Martin Rev is still with us, and he was born today, 1947. I opened for Martin Rev. Who gets to say that? Jonathan Tobin's Halloween Hop, the best Halloween party that I know of, in the city, on the coast, in the world. I DJ'd on the main stage right before Martin Rev played last year or a couple of years ago. Yeah, never in my wildest dreams. Also in my wildest dreams, would I ever have conceived Alejandro Jodorowsky's film El Topo, which premiered in 1970. Great movie. Holy Mountain was the one that really bored its way into my brain. I remember I worked at a mom and pop video store in college, like on the weekends or nights or whatever, and like this little kid Kevin used to come in and just pick our brains about movies and life, and like we were like the adults even though we were not really adults, and we would show him all sorts of crazy movies. And I remember hitting play on the player to Holy Mountain to this middle school kid, and like, where is Kevin now? I don't know. Hopefully in a good place. Anyway, I think that's a good place for us to leave off for today, December 18th. Those are all things you could do instead of letting the machine just fill your brain with garbage. That's it from us to you. Till tomorrow. Goodbye.